Good morning. It's another Monday morning here on Facebook, and we are. This is Devin. This is Real Talk with Devin Will, and I hope that you had a good weekend and a great week, and all the stuff that was good was great. We appreciate that greatly. Thank you ever so much for tuning in, and thanks for the people who have subscribed to the YouTube channel. We appreciate that. There's been more and more of you. So some of you are listening. Thank you for listening. Thank you for doing more than listening. Thank you for actually doing what we asked you to do. Good morning, Joyce. How are you? Thank you for hopping in. I think that the conversation this morning will be fun. I think it'll be fun. And I think that it has a lot to do with not just the people that we're talking about, but a lot of the people with their parents. So it ought to be a good time. We've been actually in this house talking about this subject for a couple weeks.
Since last Monday.
Since last Monday, exactly. And strangely enough, before we were talking about it.
Right in the car as we were going to my little event, we were talking about the same topic. And then it came up in one of my conference meetings. And it just is just been on my mind for the past 2 weeks. It's just like, eee. But
and funny enough, it really is on everybody else's mind too.
Yes, because it wouldn't have been such a hot topic if other people weren't thinking about it as well.
Yeah, and have been. That's very true. That's very true. So we're going to talk about millennials, those who were born around 1997.
It's actually like, I think 87 to 96 or something like that. It's the age range, I think.
I thought I looked it up, but okay. You can go ahead and do that. But we're going to talk about those people that we call millennials and how they are interfacing with life in general, and how they're interfacing with those of us who are who are boomers or baby boomers, people born after 1946. Baby boomers, of course, came into being after World War II, when soldiers got home, moved to the suburbs, and started having children like crazy. So there was a baby boom, and thus, people were called baby boomers. I think the end of the baby boomer generation probably goes to like 1964 or something like that.
Yes.
So you get that. I mean, you get the gist, right? You know what people call boomers and people call millennials.
The boomers are usually the parents of the millennials.
Mostly. Not always, but mostly.
Not always, but mostly. We are parents of a millennial, and they have different thought on life than what we were raised up on. So marriage is not a big deal to them.
Well, marriage is something for, you know what, and the article that you were...
Not all of them, let me clear that up. Well, not all of them, because we know some that...
Nothing's going to be everybody. No. You know, so don't get your panties in a wad if it doesn't apply to you or to your kid. But if you couldn't talk in generalities, you couldn't talk at all. But what we're talking about is that the general thing, and the article that you were referring to, that we read last night, that people are, you know what, millennials are waiting longer to get married. It used to be the boomer generation got married at 21 and 23. 21 for females, 23 for males, where now it's 29 for females and almost 30 for males. So they're waiting longer. And they do look at life a little differently, which is, I think, is kind of funny, because the way they learn to look at life is because of their boomer parents. They've seen their parents' marriages in divorce and struggles and all sorts of emotional things, and they're not so ready to hop into that. And when you look at it that way, it's completely understandable.
I thought about that last night. Is that a lot of them grew up where their parents are divorced, or they have two families where they go to one parent this week and another parent that week, and all this stuff, and they're raised in like chaos a lot of times. Not all the time, because sometimes marriages, that divorce, it can be, smooth and okay, and people grow up okay.
Most times it's a nightmare, though.
Most of the times it's a nightmare, and so they don't want that for themselves or for their children.
Yeah, so, I mean, and the difference is that boomers didn't grow up that way. Boomers
did not.
Boomers grew up and their parents didn't get divorced. There weren't blended families unless there was a death or something. Even if you look back at I know what you're saying. What about the Brady Bunch? Brady Bunch was a blended family because of death. They never talk about it, obviously, but if you know the history of the show, it's because somebody died, and that's why that was a blended family. And even then, we saw sort of a comedic version of conflict, so we didn't think of it as being that big, that big a deal, because it never happened. Our parents didn't get divorced. We didn't deal with blended families, so people that we call millennials had to deal with all of that. So they've decided not to. They look at marriage differently. They look at their lives differently. They look at, hey Johnny, they look at that they're going to wait to get married until they get all their stuff, until
they are financially secure. And they are emotionally emotionally secure.
They're so cute.
Until they have done all the things that they want to do. And it's funny because I got married at 23, and I thought that I had done things differently from my parents, because I thought, I had my time. I went to college. I spent time living by myself, where I was financially paying my bills, doing things on my own before I got married. But I still got married relatively young, and they want to do it for years and years before they settle down.
Well, so again, nothing is new. So if you millennials think you're doing something new and different, yeah, you're not. You're not. That's why you're so cute. You're so adorable. So the idea is that they decided that they're going to wait. They've also decided that they're going to go further. They want to go further in their career, because that's important to them, or their education, and so that's important to them. So they are waiting. So of course, if they wait to get married, most are waiting to have children, because if they are all about themselves, and that's one of the criticisms that millennials get all the time, that they're selfish and they're all about themselves. It's interesting, as a person who's on the late end of the boomer thing, we were called the most selfish generation ever, because our parents came back from World War II and the Korean conflict, and they were just damn determined that we wouldn't struggle like they struggled, financially, socioeconomically, racially, that we weren't going to struggle like they struggled. So they made sure that we went to school. They made sure that we went to college. They made sure that they provided whatever they could to sort of smooth the road for us. So we were self-centered too, and so we took that as boomers, and we put that into our children as well. That we're going to make sure that the road was as smooth as possible. And after you went to bed, I started thinking about we invented things like T-ball. T-ball, you remember T-ball? Not Little League Baseball, but T-ball, where nobody pitched the ball because that was dangerous and someone could get hurt. Where you set the ball on a tee and you gave the child a plastic bat, and he was able to swing at that ball as many times as he needed to hit. And if he hit it at all, he could run to the base. And then he could just run to the base. And then they could run all the bases, and nobody kept score, and everybody had a great time. Nobody won. Nobody wins. Somebody loses. And then everybody gets a trophy for participating.
And now we have those same people
in Congress,
in our offices, in our businesses, and they want everybody to win. They don't care if you're better at the job than them. That no, you should get paid the same as me.
Everybody should get paid the same.
Whether you do the better job or not.
So there you go. So there you are. And it's funny, we were having a conversation with some friends of ours on, was it Saturday? Saturday we were over, and it's really funny, and we all agree that the frustration is real, but the problem is ours, and the responsibility is ours. We created these people. We created these people by telling them that they were special and that children are our future, and we should let them lead the way. Really? You should let the 8-year-old run the house? Probably not. But how many houses were the 8-year-olds get to decide? It's funny. I just had a thought. You smell the smoke? I just had a thought.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Hi, Pat.
I think when we were watching like House Hunters, how many times people are looking for houses?
A house like I grew up in.
And a house for their children.
Yeah, their children get to pick what they... Or their dogs.
Or their dogs. Oh, Fluffy will be so happy with this house. Fluffy lifts his own ass.
He needs a lot of backyard so he can run and play.
Yeah.
Buy a house for the dog or the children.
Or they buy a house for the kids. And then they ask the kids, do you like the house? Yes. They don't know.
They don't know that they can fall down those stairs.
They don't have any idea. Like, this house has asbestos in it, and it'll probably give me cancer. I don't know, whatever. They're happy to live indoors and eat. But we have gotten this mentality that we have this worship of this worship of youth. And we have to
let them run things.
And so we have basically started worshiping our kids and worshiping youth, and
we can't raise them. You're supposed to raise your child.
Can't raise anything you worship. Is that John Gray?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can't raise anything you worship. So the idea is that and here's what happened. At some point, your kids started believing you. At some point, they said, "Yeah, you're right. You're right.
I am the smartest one in this house.
I am smart.
I can do anything. I know everything."
And we had a president a little bit ago who basically told kids that it's okay you could argue with your parents, because your parents don't know. Really? Yes, you can sit your fat feet under my kitchen table and tell me I'm wrong. Really? Yeah, so again, and we accepted it and we built these people, and now they've got views, all the views that they were allowed to have, and now they're using them, and they're using them in marriages especially, and mostly by waiting, and then they've got this whole concept that they're going to wait for the right person, the person that fits them after they develop themselves, after they seek themselves and find self-actualization. Then they're going to find the person that fits that. They're so cute, really. And I think the idea is because they don't think they need to change. They don't think they need at that point
that you need to grow, and that you're not going to be the same person. You may meet that person at age 29 that you want to get married, but at age 35 you're not going to be the same person anymore. And
especially at age 59 you're not going to be the same person.
No.
So what's going to happen then? Well, we'll just do what our parents did. We'll just get divorced. And there's more and more that are deciding to do this. There are more and more that are deciding to be life partners. We used to call that shack up in the day.
Could life be a life partner?
That ain't new either. Y'all think y'all have invented something new, but there's nothing new under the sun. So they've decided to be life partners instead of getting married, instead of getting the piece of paper, because that's what they call it. It's just a piece of paper. When we've said, if you look back at our nearly 100 videos, we've done, we've posted almost 100 videos. That's pretty doggone good. Consistency, baby. That marriage is not just a piece of paper; that it is a commitment, and again, love's not a feeling either; it's a commitment. So they think that they can have that same level of commitment without any of that stuff, like a lot of people, I guess, thought they did, but what bothers me is that they've not shown that level of commitment with anything else.
Anything that they do, because most of them, they get a job and they see that there's another better job out there in a year or 6 months or so, and they go for another one. There's no commitment level in anything that people do nowadays. Nobody sticks with something and until they have, you know, what is the word I'm looking for? Until they have been successful at it. They want to just do it and then get out and do something else, get out, do something else. And not be successful at one thing. Stick with it until you are really, really good at it.
Yeah, they seem to be auditing classes and they seem to be auditing life. And that means that they're just going to go through the process. Nobody wants to stay anywhere until you get good at something.
So they don't want to do that at marriage.
And that's going to be, you know, and once they get married, we'll find that that's going to be their struggle. The struggle is that you're not going to be good at it day 1 or day 101 or a day 1,001.
And I find that odd because there are same-sex people who are fighting hard to be able to get married.
Now remember,
we
warned you. We warned you.
Other people that have it, you know, they have the opportunity, and they don't care about it.
Well, they don't appreciate it because it's hard, because it's tough, and it's not what society says it is. It's never been what society says it is. It's always been something different. It's always been more of a spiritual thing than a societal thing. So society has always gotten it wrong, and so they've always taught it wrong. And people have always believed the wrong thing, so that's why. It is interesting that we have a group of people, and I dare call them youngsters, who aren't ready to commit to anything, aren't ready to stick to anything, and I'm not sure where that came from, other than this whole concept of boomers quote finding themselves, and the idea that you don't really have to stick and you shouldn't stick. You should follow your passion. That whole teaching on following your passion, instead of following something you're good at, or doing something you're good at. And I think that's a lot of the moving the thing to thing, because what you'll find out is that your passion changes too. Something that you thought you were passionate about,
you no longer want to do that.
And you may have been passionate about at one point. What happens when that changes? Because it's going to change. Will you have built a strong enough base of knowledge and of competency so you can move to the next thing? Well, maybe not. But you have to learn to stick with things. You really do. You have to learn to, at some point, you have to learn that you're going to hang in until you get good at something. And that experience matters, and that's a real big sticking point. Deb's had an experience that she's going to talk about at her thing last week. You know, when I was here by myself, alone, by myself. She went to one of these one of her breakout sessions, and sort of saw up close and personal again
what millennials feel about, you know, people that have jobs because of their experience. And it focuses more that you are experienced in something rather than you are just the degree that you have in it. And a lot of them feel that if you have a degree, you should have the chance to do the job and be in management and all of that just on your degree. And sometimes, you know, that might be okay if your degree, if you got to do like apprenticeship or any kind of interning in your degree, you may be able to get away with that and do it. But if you are just coming out fresh out of college and you expect you can go in and, you know, they taught you management in school, but you have never experienced dealing with people, I'm sorry, you may not be able to just jump into it and do it at ease. I've seen many of managers that were managers came in with me and they had degrees and they got that job, and then they don't know how to talk to their staff, how to uplift their staff, and how to to be professional. There's a way to talk to people, and a degree can't just give you that. And I'm not against degrees, because I have a degree, and it's okay to be educated, but there's more to it than just the degree. You don't, like Willie said, you don't want a doctor to just come out, never practice anything, and go into surgery. Oh, I'm a surgeon, I got a degree in surgery, and just operate on you, and he's never practiced on anything.
He's never opened up a human body, and yours is the first one. You don't want to be the guy's first.
No.
I mean, and I think that again we get back to, we have taught these people, and I keep calling them these people. Get over it. You'll be okay. That anything they want to do is okay. We keep telling them that, you know what, you could be anything you want to be. Well, the fact of the matter is that you can't. See, that's a horrible reality to say. You can't be everything you want to be, because you can't be a bird. You can't fly. If you're a girl, you can't be a boy because you want to be a boy. You can't. You can't. You can't. I feel like Nemo's father. You can't do these things, Nemo. You can't. But we've spent 30 years telling these people that you can be anything you want to be. You could be a rainbow or a tree. No,
today
you can't.
I choose to be a man.
Yeah, you can't. You can't do that. But again, because we kept telling them this stuff, now they believe us. Now it's one of those things where it's kind of sketchy now, but now they believe us.
Bruce Jenner can be a woman.
No, he can't. First of all, Bruce wasn't that attractive as a dude, and he is an ugly old woman. He is dressed up.
Now we're dipping now.
I'm sorry. Y'all know that's true. Y'all ain't gonna tell your friends that, but you did laugh just now. Y'all did laugh because he's an ugly old woman.
He should have done that when he was younger. If he was gonna do that.
Now he looks like, he looks like Herman Munster in drag. He was like Herman Munster in a dress. It is horrendous. But anyway, but we spent all this time telling people that they can do whatever they can do whatever they want to do. They can be whoever they want to be, when the fact of the matter is that you can't. You can only be where your talents take you.
And you can only be you.
And where your talents and your experience, the idea that experience doesn't count, is ridiculous. Now, I understand the conundrum, because we all went through that conundrum. You get out of school, and then you
got all this education.
You apply for a job,
on fire.
and everybody's looking for somebody who's already done it. And the question always
and then
was,
they want to put you in an entry level position.
Well, yeah,
and you just finished college.
And they always say this is like, well, how do I get experience if I can't get a job? Well, yes, that's always been a conundrum. It has, and I understand the frustration, because I think everybody has been through that frustration at one level or another. There's only a few jobs where you get to sort of learn as you're doing it, and strangely enough, one of them is education. One of them is teaching. Your student teaching doesn't teach you a whole bunch, because you're not there long enough. You need 2 or 3 years of on-the-job surgery with the children to actually learn anything, frankly. And everybody who's taught knows that. The student teaching doesn't teach you how to teach. College doesn't teach you how to teach, and neither does student teaching. I don't even know why they do this, the whole 3 months of student teaching. For what? For what? So you can make sure that you don't want to do it?
A lot of people discover that.
After the internship said, not me. Not going back there with them monsters. Won't find me dead there. But so that's all that's for. It doesn't teach you how to teach. Actually, you have to actually have that job. And education is one of the few things that you can actually learn on the job. Most other things that you have to have some experience doing. So yes, so what you will have to do is, that's why they have entry-level positions. That's why they have,
learn.
so you can get in and see what people's jobs are and learn.
Because you think you went to school for management and you think you want to be a manager, but taking an entry-level position may give you the chance to see what it involves and what they do and this and the other, and you may decide, hey, I want to do something else.
Well, and the idea is that in school, what you've learned is management concepts, and what we haven't told you, and none of your professors have told you, is that those concepts don't always apply to everybody. And what they haven't told you is interpersonal. They haven't taught you interpersonal relationships. They haven't given you any chance to practice that. You've lived in the echo chamber of a university or college, and that is not the
not the real world.
It is not the real world. It just isn't. And we learn, and teachers learn that. You learn all these concepts of education, but no one has taught you how to deal with a 4-year-old who is obstinate and knows every 4-letter word in the book, and simply
can call
won't.
you that,
and will call you that and flip you off with a drop of a hat. And they're 7. Nobody has prepared you for that. There's not one class you took that prepared you for that. Not one. Not one at all. No one's prepared you for the 13-year-old who brings a razor blade to class. Nobody's prepared you for that. Not at all. So,
or the employee that calls in sick every Monday.
Well, there isn't any. There's no class that prepares you for the job.
Or their aunt has died 4 times.
That is a resilient woman. She just keeps bouncing back. She died like, oh, nope. They had a funeral for
you
her.
You got to know how to deal with stuff like that.
Yeah, and that you gain with
employees that fight each other.
Well, yeah, where I worked, there was 2 teachers that took up fisticuffs together into place. Yeah, nobody teaches you how to do that, or how to write policy if you're responsible for that. How to do all the stuff it takes to be a manager. That takes experience, and so experience has a huge place. Now, again, if you don't have any experience, and we've told you that your education is the best thing you could do ever, you may be frustrated. Yeah, and that's and being frustrated is part of the deal. But what have we been doing as boomers to our children? We've been eliminating their frustration.
Mm-hmm.
We've been eliminating their frustration. We don't want them to be frustrated. We want them to get whatever they want. We want them to make every team. So when we sign up for little league lacrosse, everybody's on the team. Everybody gets to play.
Gets a trophy.
So there isn't any frustration, right? So
they don't know how to deal with that.
So we've not prepared them for how to take a loss. Because sometimes have you learned as an adult? Sometimes you're gonna you have to take the L. I lost.
You're not gonna win.
I lost. And sometimes you're gonna get hammered. You take the loss. You didn't just lose. You got crushed. Like, wow, I got blown out here today.
Hi, Sheila.
So sometimes you're gonna have to be able to do that, and we have to be able to deal with it and to get over it and get through it.
Real life situations.
So I wonder about folks who are waiting to get married, because I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. You can correct me, because you do that sometimes. As things happen, are they going to be ready in these marriages for when things are tough? Because we're talking about now, when we're talking about millennials, we're talking about 2 people who have, unfortunately, because of the behavior of their parents, have not really been prepared for things that are tough and that are frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
And haven't, quite frankly, a lot of them haven't done it that well themselves, because when things get tough, they bail too.
Their parents bail.
Their parents bail. That's what these people have seen.
That's what we taught them.
We taught them that, you know what, you don't have to be frustrated. You don't have to. You don't have to go through this. You can. What's the phrase that black women use? I can do bad all by myself.
I can do bad all by myself.
And then they wonder why black men don't want anything to do with them. But that's another show.
And then they don't have, when your husband
can't find a good black man.
And he loses his job. You got to be there for him and help him, help to get through that. That's what you made a commitment in your marriage.
I've taken that L. I've taken that L. That's a hard L to take. That's a hard loss to take. It is. That'll wear on you if you're not careful. If you don't have support, if you don't have emotional support, that'll wear on you. And I understand. So I get that. So I wonder if this generation coming up will get that. It's interesting though, as we draw this to a close. The next generation, Generation Z, is almost the opposite.
Mm-hmm. A lot of the young
they're almost more like their grandparents. They're almost.
It's going to be interesting in the next 20 years.
Their kids are generally more conservative. Their kids are generally more. I mean, their work ethic is generally better. They appreciate experience. That generation is almost the opposite of their parents. It's interesting. It's going to be a little crazy. It ought to be fun. Why? Because it always is. Because it always is.
The more things change, the more they stay the same.
All right, we need to get out of here.
Something to think about.
We need to get out of here and make room for somebody else. All right, so there'll be more discussions on millennial stuff. There'll be more vlogs. Debbie's been doing vlogs. Did you do vlogs this week?
Yes, and you got to put them on.
I'll put the vlog up. Vlog set. I guess this is 5. Sheila, you are so right. You are so right. Sheila writes, the other C word that invokes fear is commitment. That is the truth. That is the honest to God's truth. So anyway, I'll put up the vlog set. I think it's vlog set 7. That'll be up today, and you can check out what Deb's been up to all week. And let's see. Did you see the vlog set about the sink? I put the sink in.
Yes, you did.
I did.
You did a good job.
I put it in, and it actually works and it doesn't leak. I hate plumbing so much. No, I didn't buy the faucet yet for the kitchen.
The kitchen faucet.
So
we don't need one.
Debbie wants a kitchen faucet.
A kitchen faucet.
So
rephrase that.
Well, I think that's the project for the weekend. I'll let you in on that. How that goes, how the purchase process goes, and crawling under nasty sink. It's just what it is. All right, any case, we got to get out of here and make room for somebody else. So until we see you again, go out there and learn something, love somebody, and for goodness sakes, y'all take care of yourself. We will see you when we see you. Peace. We're out.
Love you.